In 20 years of writing about failed integration efforts, I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen a community approach bringing children from different backgrounds together in schools with such creativity and nuance and detail. And it was all enabled by this map.
You know, right now when you look at poverty, the way we measure it is based on free and reduced lunch, which I feel is a very outdated way of measuring poverty.
When Pedro Martinez became superintendent of San Antonio Independent School District in 2015, he realized immediately that he was going to need a much, much finer view of the poverty that was pervasive in his district.
I came to San Antonio with a feeling from my previous experience in other districts that I had understood poverty. This is the first time that I experienced a district where the entire district had such a density of poverty, and really forced me to rethink about how I define poverty.
He was needing to drill down and figure out what the different gradations of extreme poverty were.
We could tell you now in every single one of our schools, and we broke them up into 4 different groups, and so these are census blocks, so we call them blocks. So block 4 is what I call the poorest of the poor. These are my families that make under $20,000 a year. They are single-parent households. They don't own a home, and most of the parents either don't have any kind of education beyond high school. In fact, we have, in some neighborhoods, a very high percentage of illiterate adults. And I had my Block 1 families. These were families that were more like my middle-class families. So median income, $50,000, 2-parent households. They own their own home. I'm getting now even parents that are university professors that are now in my schools. And we wanted to understand it so that when we looked at a school, so for example, at J.T. Breck, which has a median income of $17,000, a high percentage of Block 4 families. We wanted to understand what type of supports are needed at a school like J.T. Breck versus at another school that might have more Block 1 families.
Martinez's vision for the map was to use it to integrate schools within the district.
The other way we're using it is as we're creating our brand new school models, which are becoming very popular. We now have waiting lists. And this is the first time that our district in San Antonio is being considered a school that has great choices for families. So we're not only having families within our district looking at these schools, we have families from all over the county.
But if I'm more stable, more higher income, more likely to have both parents in the household, families drowned out the pool, right? And only a few of my students in Block 3 and Block 4 communities got in, I will run something called an equity audit. So the equity audit basically means that a quarter of the kids at a specific choice school that is diverse by design needs to come from our most disadvantaged communities, Block 3 and Block 4. And so 12.5 Block 3, 12.5 Block 4. If we didn't hit those numbers through the first round of the lottery, when we go back to that wait list and we have attrition or recall, we will make sure that the next Block 4 kid or Block 3 kid is the one who gets access. Even if the wait list fell 1 through 50 and number 10 is the one who is Block 3 and Block 4, that is the child who will get access. The other thing that folks don't know is in the lottery, I put weights for kids who come from improvement required schools, which is TEA's designation for kids who are in quote unquote failing schools. So this year's school choice round, we offered a little over 3,000 seats. During the end of the application period, we got close to 7,500 applications. In my schools that are diverse by design, a quarter of the kids in the economically disadvantaged sites will be Block 3 and Block 4 families. Why? Because I am designing for it, I'm codifying it. My equity audit process requires me to do so. If not, call me out.
At Steele Montessori, there's a weighting given to students with disabilities. The leader who opened that school wanted very much to showcase Montessori's advantages for children with disabilities. So he had to figure out how to incorporate those factors.
When I began in the district back in June of 2015, less than half of our children were going to college. Under 2% of our graduates were going to Tier 1 universities. I had less than 5% of our children that were college ready on the SAT. And our remediation rates were just incredibly high. You know, we focused on those areas and we put some very clear goals, and we said we want at least 10% of our students to be going to Tier 1 universities. And we set that goal in my first set of months. Now that in my 3rd year, just with last year's graduating class, which was the class of 2017, We saw the highest graduation rate ever of 85%. More than 55% of our children are attending college. We've more than doubled. We're now at 7% of our graduates attending Tier 1 universities. We've also increased the number of students that are college ready in the SAT by almost 150%. And we're seeing remediation rates, gaps with the state are closing.
There is nothing particularly new about creating attractive new schools as a way to attract students. Magnet schools have been used as a mechanism to attempt to integrate schools for generations. But it also tends to attract affluent families. They're very good at ensuring continued access for their children to the best programs.
We love the fact that our schools are becoming popular, but could we create our own problems? In other words, could we further segregate our own families just based on our success?
What Chaudhry wanted to do, and what Pedro Martinez wanted to do, was to design a system that would outlast them.
What keeps me up at night is redesigning the system in a way where you would be foolish, and I don't care where you are in the ideological spectrum of reform or anti-reform, that this is working for kids. So I have told my team, and I continue to tell them, design as if you won't be here one day. That's what keeps me up at night.